head out of the sand, focus on your product. Now, I saw another thing that was out last week. Tony's, trying to drive this story home that we're in a war. The only war Tony Khan is in is the one against himself. You got to go take care of that war. Figure out who you are and how you want to run this company and what the vision is for your product and what your strategy for growth is. Because even though Tony may not need the growth, as you and I talked about, maybe he's absolutely happy with things the way they are. But I guarantee you at some point, somebody that's in charge of that beachfront property that Tony's enjoying right now is going to wonder if they're making as much money off of it as they can. Maybe not now, maybe not in 6 months, maybe not even a year. But eventually, if you're not growing your audience, you're very vulnerable. Tony should be focusing on those things and not whether Ariel is in a WWE environment or not. I just think it's silly.
Boo all you want, you dumb, worthless, fat pieces of shit. We're not even on TV yet. Boo all you want. I don't give a fuck.
I would like to thank God Almighty for giving everybody so much and me so little. I hate you. I don't even know you, and I hate your guts. I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and nobody else but you. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Don't count me down, you piece of shit. Shut your mouth. Look at me, Tony. Look at me. I want you to fire me. You fucking mark. Fire me. Fire me. How you think they gonna feel when they introduce your boys? That's the new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champion. I don't know who's. They might be cheering. Yeah. They might be booing. Yeah. Little kids might be crying. Oh, yeah. We got grown men out there crying. Yeah. But they still might be hating on the Uso. Hating on us. Why? Because we went out there and did what we said we was going to do. Yeah.
Buffalo, all your babbling is interfering with my machine. So for the next few minutes, please just do me a favor and kindly shoot.
Chelsea says, Matt, can you come to bed? No, I'd rather play with my figures instead. She said, can we be romantic and do things we enjoy? No, me and Brian Myers spent our savings on toys. Now I think my girl is gonna walk out the door. I'm only 37, but I look like 54. And Matt Cardona, you could be the man, but there's just one problem you should understand. You're the king of the indies, and now you're rich, but to me, you will always be Edge's bitch. You and Brian Myers, you act like kids, but to me, you will always be Edge's bitch. You're the king of the indies, and now you're rich, but to me, you will always be Edge's bitch. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch.
What to do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 349 of the Hoots Podcast, your favorite time of the week. Hanging out with your boy, Joshie. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Josh Lopez Media. For those who are interested in the IG world, we drop a brand new edition of the podcast at Hoots every single Thursday. Anywhere you get your podcast from. I hope you guys are having a pretty good week so far, as we are literally on the road to WrestleMania, coming off the heels of a stellar WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. You're going to get my thoughts and Brad Carr's thoughts this week via satellite. And guess what, folks? We're 1 week out for celebrating our 350th episode. Don't forget, next Thursday, March 2nd, we'll be hanging out and recording episode 350 of the Hoots Podcast. And thank you for all of you who've been enjoying this particular podcast for the last 7 years. So Outside of that, really don't have much else to plug besides just make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching this right now on YouTube. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, what? Stitcher, what? Google Play, what? iHeart what? Spotify, what? Spotify, what? 2 times Spotify, what? Just make sure to follow or subscribe to our show and let us know what you like or dislike about the podcast. We appreciate any constructive or just general honest feedback on the podcast at Hoots. Like I said, we're going to review the Elimination Chamber this week and talk about a lot of things going on in the world of WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, pun intended, I think what the hell is wrong with AEW this week is going to be a hoot. I can't wrap my brain around how bad this promotion is right now. And that's saying something, especially with the things we've documented in this segment. So make sure to check that out towards the end of the show. I also got some stuff I got to get off my chest with some silly-ass Twitter narratives I've been seeing over the last couple weeks. But, as always, I just want to say, for those who are watching, listening again, thank you for hanging out with me. And I just want those who are watching right now and listening, we're going to pose another question for you guys. Let me know. Hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or comment down below in our YouTube comment section for this week. Here's my question for the week in regards to the world of professional wrestling. When are you going to admit that you were wrong about Roman Reigns? That's the question I'm going to pose to you guys, because we want to talk about acknowledgement. We're going to have some real acknowledgement when it comes to the tribal chief when we get to this week in WWE. So again, question of the week for those who are watching or listening. When are you, the hater of Roman Reigns, all the way back in 2015, when are you going to admit that Roman Reigns is that dude? Look, very curious to hear your answers, because I just find it funny now. Say people were saying, this guy sucks, he's the worst, he doesn't deserve to be in the position he's in, blah, 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 blah. Really singing a different tune these days. We'll get to that and some silly stuff from Meltzer and Alvarez, because what else is new? But overall, man, I'm in good spirits. Enjoying the good vibes. Had a really nice conversation with my dad yesterday. He's the man. I've been really appreciating the time we get to spend with him over the last couple weeks. Just anytime he comes by the crib, I really do appreciate his company. And, he's been very helpful and supportive when it comes to my situation I'm dealing with my whole furlough thing. And I couldn't be more grateful for the words he gives me and the conversation we had yesterday especially. So I just want to give a shout out to my dad really quick. All right, let's get to the back porch Q&A session, one of my favorite parts of the show, as we get a chance to interact with all of you lovely people, and we get to partake in some interesting life conversations as well, as we're going to do in this segment. So we're going to start off, as we usually do, with the good brother Chris Zaletta at Chris Zaletta. Nope, scratch that. X-Team Zaletta 24X. See, I got to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's, pal. So here we go. Make sure to follow Chris at Twitter at X-Team Zaletta 24X on the Twitter machine. He says, what up, Oos? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Who would you have face Gunther at WrestleMania? If it's not going to be, it's always funny, like everybody, it should be a triple threat match for the main event. The only triple threat match we really need at WrestleMania is Gunther against McIntyre and Sheamus. But if it's not a triple threat match for the IC title, let's do Gunther and Sheamus. No, actually, let's scratch it. Let's do Gunther and McIntyre one-on-one. That would be my pick. You really can't go wrong either way, triple threat or singles via McIntyre and Sheamus. You can pick whoever stands out the most to you, but I would go with McIntyre in that question. All right. What match did you enjoy from Battle in the Valley? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody, but I did not watch nor cover Battle in the Valley. Actually, I haven't covered or watched a New Japan show since Wrestle Kingdom. And it's been frustrating because a lot of you guys know my passion and love for New Japan Pro Wrestling and the fact that I get to cover it and stuff like that. But with my situation, I just don't have the time, and I just haven't had the want or need to watch the shows. And there's stuff that I've missed that I've been wanting to see, like the Osaka New Beginning show where it's Okada and Shingo. I missed that. Didn't get to see this show. Obviously, I know that Jay White is fully done with New Japan. I know that's happened. I know Sasha Banks became the IWGP Women's Champion, so congratulations to her. Okada and Tanahashi had a match in U.S. soil again, which is very cool. You don't get the opportunity to see these type of events, especially in the United States, so appreciate rivalries like that when you get the opportunity to see them. So I haven't had a chance to watch it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you which match stood out the most to me. All right, which match are you looking forward to the most for No Surrender? Good question. Well, the one I was really looking forward to covering, because I am covering it tomorrow night as I record this on a Thursday, I am looking forward to Mike Bailey and Jonathan Gresham, but for some godforsaken reason, this match is on the pre-show. Like, what are we doing here? I don't get that. I really don't understand that decision. Why is that on the kickoff show? Very odd. So, if I had my druthers, I'm gonna go with the main event. Go with Josh Alexander and Rich Swann for the Impact World Title. That's gonna be pretty good. I'll talk a little bit more about Impact when we get to this week in WWE. But good question there, Chris. Next one. Did you watch any of the dunk contests? I did not. I did not watch 1 second of NBA All-Star Weekend. I'm just generally indifferent with the NBA. It does not grasp my attention anymore as I liked it more when I was a kid. I really blame the players, man. Whether it's the lack of interest for who's participating in these particular events, the three-point contest, the slam dunk contest, the lack of effort in the All-Star games. All All-Star games, doesn't matter which sport it is, it's just not fun to watch. It's generally a big waste of time, so I didn't watch any of those. Thoughts on Okada and Tanahashi possibly joining forces and going for the tag team titles? Well, I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't know how long that'd be a sustainable idea, but if Okada wants to do the whole double champion thing, I wouldn't blame him. I can't recall the last time Okada was an IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, but I wouldn't mind it. They are called the Dream Team for a reason, so why not test your mettle, if you will. All right, who should Roxanne Perez face at XC Stand and Deliver? Stand and Deliver in LA, yeah. All right, I got your question there. Like I said a couple weeks ago, I think it should be Cora Jade. I know there's some rumblings between her and Miko Satomura that's going on over the last couple weeks. I have two options. It's either Cora Jade or she fights Zoe Stark. We'll have to figure out how that goes. Or you could do a four-way with Stark, Jade, and Miko Satomura and Roxanne Perez. But if I had my pick, I would go with Roxanne Perez. My favorite match from the Elimination Chamber. Well, I know a lot of people are going to go with the main event, and I'll talk about how great the main event was in a little bit. But just to be different here, I'm going to go with the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match. It was just so funny how so many people are like, oh, this is a bathroom break match. Oh, nothing of importance is going to happen here. Why should we care about this match? I saw somebody, I won't say who, but I saw somebody prior to this video say that this was going to be one of the worst and most boring men's chamber matches of all time. And after what I saw Saturday, I think that the person that said that needs to be drug tested. But yeah, that match was awesome. Did any of the Danielson matches during this MJF program interest you? Great question here, Chris. Yes and no. I was intrigued by the Timothy Thatcher match because I was a fan of his at NXT and what he did at NXT UK as well. But outside of that, I felt a lot of it was repetitive and stuff that was very predictable, and that I feel like, and I'm going to explain this later on in the segment, but it just continues to amaze me how much MJF has really carried this feud from an entertainment and care standpoint. Like, I think Stevie Wonder or any blind person could tell you that Bryan Danielson is a good wrestler. But having these elongated television matches that have Bryan go through hoops was so stupid for over a month and a half. And we wait to the second to last week for the pay-per-view to finally have a face-to-face interaction promo with these guys. I just think it's been all over the place. And really, what MJF is doing right now is really charity work for AEW, because he really is the straw that makes that company drink. You know, like I it's not good right now. And if I had to pick one match, I'll go with the Timothy Thatcher one because that's the one that stood out the most to me. Right. Let's go to the next question here. How many of the top guys do you think WWE will have to replace within the next 5 years? Possibly Roman, Brock, Cena, Orton, Sheamus, Lashley, Edge, and Rey. Well, Chris, I don't really put John Cena in that category. I mean, Brock Lesnar is more present on the shows than John Cena is. If I have to say in the next 5 years who's probably going to be replaced or not be in the picture, it's probably going to be Edge and Rey and probably Lashley, in my opinion. Possibly Brock, but that depends on what Brock wants to do. I still think Roman and Randy will be around. I think Randy will probably be around more than Roman. I just don't see Randy doing like movies and being like I don't know. If you see the role Edge is in right now, I can see that a little bit more for Randy Orton, but with the exception of him not doing movies. But it's a good question. It's an interesting thing to ponder. And I think WWE's going to be in a good place with a lot of people who are going to come up from NXT, some guys who haven't had the opportunity to be in the realm of those performances you mentioned. And I think they'll be in a good spot where you won't have to rely on those guys in the coming years. And who knows, maybe everybody you mentioned in this question, Chris, will still be around, so maybe that won't be a issue or a point of contention to bring up about. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But Chris, awesome job with the questions this week. You killed it, my man. All right. Next, we go to the good brother Mike at Main Event Swerve, the good brother from Houston, Texas. He says, here's a few questions to start off. Number one, is there a story to that Matt Cardona Edge song? Was it Danhausen, Cornette? Where did that come from? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have revised the updated version of our intro, if you listen to the audio version of our podcast. That, my friend, is brought to you and created by Mr. I Believe in Joe Henry. I believe in Joe Henry. Joe Henry from Impact made that song. He's a very talented performer, not only a wrestler, but he also creates songs. He made a song making fun of Moose. Joe Henry's very talented, and they've been in a feud with each other over the Digital Media Championship in Impact. And Henry, the premise was that he feels that Matt Cardona is green with envy when it comes to the recognition that Joe Henry gets as a digital content creator, because the whole Matt Cardona was the original internet champion or whatever. And he just went into this song, and you hear it for itself. It's pretty funny. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch. And no, that's not me singing in the intro. He did it himself. But to me, you will always be Edge's bitch. You're the king of the indies, and now you're rich. But to me, you will always be Edge's bitch. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch. One more time. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch. Wide. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question. Having too much fun here. Is the XFL here to stay? If so, how long would you stay? I have not yet watched the XFL under The Rock's vision. I have not. I knew that this was the first week that it happened because it was all over Twitter. I don't know, man. It depends on how much revenue comes out of it for television-wise and what they draw with ratings and stuff like that. Just like with anything else. Like, how long will the USFL be around? I know they're bringing back the Arena Football League. I really don't know. I can't really say how many years it's going to be. It's all going to be dependent on what it draws and really the passion The Rock has for this project. Because, actors are fleeting. They want to be challenged to go into the next project. So it just depends. But I hope it works out for him. Third question. Who had the better breakout performance in the chamber? Gargano or Montez? I'm going to go with neither guy because I already know that Montez can get on a hot streak when it comes to fast sequences and stuff like that. I thought it was a very good performance for Johnny, and I thought he did a very good match. He did a very good job in that match. But to me, really the breakout performer in that chamber match for me was Bronson Reed. But that's just my opinion. Question number 4. If you had to get someone who hadn't watched WWE in years to start watching again using a chamber match, would you show them the men's or women's? I would go with the men's match. I think it's very important if you're showing a new person that never watched wrestling before. Doesn't matter what promotion it is. Usually, you want to show them a match where the crowd is really hot into it, and it's for sure that the men's chamber match brought the most out of the audience. There was like 2 or 3 "This is awesome" chants during that match, which you rarely hear at WWE shows. So I would go with the men's match. All right. What do you think about the Fast and Furious franchise? When does it end and how? I've always been a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, I did not get to see the last one. I know there was a whole big scuttlebutt and disdain that came from the last one because there's aspects of the movie that involve space and some stuff that really can't suspend your disbelief. But I've always enjoyed the franchise. I know there's the memes and everything about everything's for family. I do this for my family. I record my podcast for what? For my family. Like I get the whole bit. I really do. But I just really enjoyed the whole series, man. And, it's really shame what happened to Paul Walker. This is a terrible accident like that. And for him to go out that way, it's just even more sadder. But I've always enjoyed it, even when The Rock was involved with it. What really sucks for the fact I did not see the last ones because I didn't even get to see John Cena as Dom's brother. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet. So, I would like to see. I don't know if this is something where you want the movie coming out and ending with Dominic dying. I don't know if that's the message you want to be sending. I think it'd be nice to have Dom ride off of the sunset, and go out that way. Something like that would be pretty cool. All right. Who loses their title first and how? Austin Theory with the U.S. or Gunther, the ring general, with the IC title? I'm going to go with Austin Theory. Don't be surprised if Austin Theory loses the U.S. title very soon on Raw. I don't know to who, but it's going to happen soon. Just be on the lookout for that. Question number 7. What is the most boring sport to watch on TV or in person? Great question. Most boring sport to watch on TV for me is golf. And for me, I think also tennis would be my other answer to that question. So I'm going to go with golf and tennis. I'm not a fan of either. Those can go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. All right, question number 8. How did your White Sox allegiance begin? And what is it like having two teams in the same sport in Chicago? Do people hate one of the teams and love one, or just prefer one over the other? Great question. Well, my White Sox allegiance start and began with my dad. My dad is a White Sox fan. His side of the family are White Sox fan. And I became a White Sox fan. A little small part of it had to do with the logo and just the color scheme of the White Sox. I just digged it. I dig the vibe. I always enjoy the energy that comes from going to it's called Guarantee Rate Field now, but it's Comiskey Park. It's just a connection I have with my dad's side of the family, and I just love being a White Sox fan. When it comes to the dynamic of the two teams in the city, you get your hippies, what? Your drunks, what? And you got your troglodytes who like to make the voyage out to the dump known as Wrigley Field out in the north side. And it's just what it is. Us common folks, people who feel like they don't have to get bad shit drunk to enjoy a baseball game, like to actually go to Comiskey Park to watch the White Sox play. It's a mixed bag, you know. It's probably similar like how it is in New York. I wouldn't say LA because LA sports fans are very they're front runners. Like they're very flaky in how they go about their teams. So I wouldn't compare the dynamic of a Cub and White Sox fan to, let's say, the Clippers and the Lakers, you know, in LA. It's very different. I think on the national scale, you would think that Chicago's more based around the Cubs and stuff like that. And it is a shame that the Cubs got more pub for their breaking their curse when our curse was going longer than theirs by the time the Sox won their championship. And but it is what it is. I don't begrudge Cubs fans. I don't have much love for them. I think their ballpark is a shithole. Despite their renovations, the concourse is still shit, and that is a living dump in a neighborhood out in the north side. But that's just me. All right. What is your favorite promo from The Rock all time? Who would win in a promo battle, The Rock or MJF? The Rock would win. Say what you want about The Rock. The Rock may never be the greatest technical wrestler. He probably wouldn't be better than Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels or something like that. But when it comes to verbal confrontations and promos and stuff like that, nobody, and I mean nobody, can touch The Rock on the microphone. Not even Paul Heyman, not CM Punk, not John Cena. The Rock is the greatest of all time on the microphone, and he would make MJF really flustered. It would be a good battle, don't get me wrong, but The Rock would win a promo battle with MJF, and it's not close. My favorite promo from The Rock of all time is, I have two of them. One is sentimental because it was in Chicago, and I got to see him in person. It was when Rock and John Cena had their first face-to-face interaction in the ring before WrestleMania 27. I got to be at that show, so that one really stands out to me. Then my other one, of course, has to be the Rock concert, where I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May. That Rock concert was just great. I was crying laughing when that was going down. All right, two more questions here for the Back Porch Q&A question, and of course I appreciate you guys participating every single week. Here he goes. He says, I know you like bachata music, as do I, but what do you think of Romeo Santos doing a stadium tour? It's hard to see those songs being spectacular, but maybe I'm missing something. If anybody can make that work for a stadium tour, I think it's him, man. Look, don't get me wrong, I enjoy Bad Bunny, and that guy is very, very successful and stuff like that, but I've always likened more to Aventura music more than Bad Bunny, and Romeo Santos, he has just as much singles as Bad Bunny does, and I really am a big fan of his solo work as well. Santa Vito is one of my favorite songs from his, and I don't really see why you would have a hard time on a tour. That guy's a dude. That guy's a beast. I never got a chance to see Avitor perform in person, but yeah, that guy's a beast, man. He's a very talented singer and artist. All right, last question here. He says, if you could silence one person, oh boy, if you could silence one person for the Chiefs Kingdom on social media forever, who would it be? Jackson Mahomes or Travis? No one believed in us, Kelsey. Oh man, shit. That's like picking between Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Both of them cancel each other out, right? Oh fuck, man. I'm gonna go with Travis Kelsey because one, I'm not on TikTok, so I'm not really catching up with what Jackson Mahomes is doing. And secondly, Travis Kelsey, you are a clown. Just shut your mouth. The notion that no one believed in you and you guys were portrayed as the underdogs, like, give me a fucking break. I'm so tired of the Chiefs. Like, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, you only hate the Chiefs because the Chiefs got Mahomes and you guys got Mitch. No, it's not about that. I appreciate Andy Reid. I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. But whether it's Frank Clark and his annoying ass, Tyreek Hill while he was there, Jackson Mahomes, the wife, now Travis Kelsey, that team just annoys the shit out of me. I am not a Chiefs fan. And woohoo, congratulations, you guys won the Super Bowl. Whoopity-doo. I am not a fan of that team whatsoever. Great questions this week from Mike and Chris. I appreciate you guys as always. We got one extra one here from Nate here from Second to Geary. He says, since Brody Lee is no longer here, should they get rid of the Dark Order? The group isn't unique and only John Silver adds anything to the product. Evil Uno is bad. Brother, I think you answered your own question. Yes, they should get rid of the Dark Order soon and quick as possible. Okay. As a wrap for our Back Porch Q&A session this week, if you'd like to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at The Hoots Podcast or send us a question at The Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. Now, for next week, as we're obviously recording episode 350, I want you guys to send us 50 questions in total. So for our regular guys like Chris, Mike, Sam, and Nate, even past the time sending questions, send us as much as you can. I would love to make next week's episode not only a celebration show, but just a full-on Q&A show where we could give back to you guys and answer questions you guys have for us. So I love the shooting goal for next week is definitely 50 questions for the Back Porch Q&A session. And I appreciate you, Chris and Mike and Nate, last minute for sending in the question. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate the support for the podcast as always. All right, one last thing before we get on with the rest of the festivities in this podcast of Hoots. I would like to discuss a topic that we really haven't had a chance to talk about recently here on the Hoots podcast, and that's my mental health and my mental state affairs. Where I really haven't given you guys much of a personal update on me. I've discussed here and there about my situation professionally and how I've been navigating that whole ordeal. And, just with having conversations with my dad, been doing some soul searching and just a bunch of other stuff. I just feel like really compelled right now just to like let you guys in on how I'm feeling and where my mind is right now and how I feel in my heart, like spiritually, emotionally, health-wise, stuff like that. Knock on wood, I've been feeling good. No running into any sicknesses or anything like that, right? So knock on wood for that. I honestly, like, man, I am really happy And I said this before, but it's so true. Having this apartment is really a godsend for me, in that just thinking back to where I was a couple years ago, even before I moved into this apartment, like where my head was at and just how I felt about myself and how I felt about where things were going and just how I felt inside. It was just a lot of emptiness. And another thing I could say is that I felt numb a little bit right before I moved out. Just that routine of going to the tattoo shop, having to deal with the BS there, and, you know, trying to hustle and grind what I could out of the transcripts and stuff like that. Mixing being back to where my main living place when I was growing up, this living there was just a cycle that I needed to get out of before it was just going to bring me down in a way. It's the best way I can explain it. And honestly, like, I'm very fortunate for the things that have been given to me in my life, for the fact that I've had a lot of family members in my life that lived on the same block as me and stuff like that. And it's very cool, and I'm very appreciative of that, and I love my family. And this is not a deal where, like, I'm going to bash anybody or anything like that, but this is just straight up truth, man. We're just talking here, and that's the charm of the Hoots podcast, especially for those who are watching or listening for the first time. I got nothing to hide for you guys. I really don't. I'm an open book, and I'm bringing you guys into my life, and I'm very fortunate to have a platform like this where I could just treat this as therapy, learn, and, you know, just get better as the weeks go by. And that time period, I knew it. I knew it myself that I needed to get out. I knew I needed a different pathway. I just needed to get out of my comfort zone. I had a lot of things buried inside that I really needed to, like, dissolve on my own accord, and I couldn't do that living in my mom's house, her having her attention on a new boyfriend, and, you know, her doing her own thing. It was just a wave of energy I needed to get out from. Like, I needed it more than I even realized. And these last 3 years at this apartment, it's been a fucking godsend for me, man. Like, I never been more happy with myself than I am right now. I will not say that I'm content with anything. I don't really feel like I'm wired that way. I have a different way of showing it than the normal person is, but I am a hungry. yes, of course, Joshie's hungry. But when it comes to, like, what I do professionally and just in general, I am a hungry person, and I'm not content with what I just do. I want to get better. I push myself to make sure that I'm better at my craft, and I take a lot of pride in what I do. I really do. I take a lot of pride in bettering myself. I take a lot of pride in the stuff I've been able to heal from over the last 3 years. Of course, anybody that's listened to the show for the last couple of years or so have known my story about my rejection in my last relationship or so, or whatever, that whole deal. And I told you guys, and I think you guys have been on this journey with me as I've been going through this healing process. And I can't say that I'm fully at peace, because I don't think anybody's really at peace until it's that time to go. You know, I got to take things one day at a time. It's really been my mindset on a lot of different things as I've been going through this healing process. There was a lot of different things that I had to heal from, not just from the fact that I had my fucking heart broken a couple of years ago and all that came from the rejection. It wasn't just that. It was a lot of stuff. It was me missing my sister, who moved out to California. It was just different dynamics of me growing up. It was some of the stuff I had to deal with in school with bullying and stuff, and it's really something I really don't talk about, because I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I'm not different from anybody. But there was a lot of that. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of people probably don't realize is I feel like the biggest thing I needed to heal from is me. I needed to heal myself from my head, from my self-doubt, from my lack of self-confidence. There's nobody on this planet that's harder on me or downer on me than myself. And I can sit here, talk to you in this microphone here on February 23rd, 2023, and I could tell you, for really the first time in my life, I'm really happy with who I am, what I've come from, what I've overcome, and just in general, like I'm really happy and at peace with, hey, I'm Josh Lopez. I'm a good dude. I got a good heart. I know I can offer to people. I know my worth professionally and personally. And at the end of the day, if you're not with me, if you don't like me, whatever it is, I don't care anymore, because that's not important to me. That external validation, that external validation is not something I need anymore. I'm like really at the point in my life where I'm happy living my life because I'm living it on my own terms. I'm living it because I know my purpose. I'm living it because I'm healed from my own plague, from my own internal issues. And I am damn proud of myself. You know, I'm going through it, man. I'm going through it professionally, man. I really am. I'm at a crossroads. I don't know what's next. I'm trying my best to not be discouraged and stuff like that. I know what I can bring to this field. I know what I can bring to this game. I know who I am. I know that doesn't define me, though. Money doesn't define me, though. And the thing that it's been lacking my entire life more than anything else is the appreciation for what I have with inside here. And I really think that's probably the biggest reason I could really say that I am healed. And I know healing's a very difficult topic to broach, and I know a lot of people let their scars be a shield that they put in front of themselves, where they don't want to let that guard down and really embrace that pain that they've gone through. They just rather shut it down or put a visible wall up and not address the issue and let things fester and let that anger spill out into other things and how they interact with other people or how they even interact with themselves. And look, man, I could say really for the first time in my life that I'm not upset with myself anymore. I don't doubt myself anymore. And that I'm proud of who I am. And nobody can take that away from me. And the biggest thing I want people to take away from this, especially for people who deal with self-doubt, and mental health and depression is a real thing. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not, because it's true. Look, man, I've lost friends. I've been rejected multiple times by women. I've been cheated on. I've been rejected for job interviews. I've learned to grow to understand what comes with rejection, but do not let rejection, especially self-rejection, define you or bring you down. I'm healed because I've been able to forgive myself for what I tell myself and how I feel about myself. And that's the biggest thing that I can express to you guys in the last 10 years of being a broadcaster and doing shows like this and whatever. I've lost people in my life. I've lost important family members like my nanny, who passed away 18 years ago, who was a very important person in my life. There's people I grew up with that I barely hear from anymore. I barely hear from my older sister. I'm not as in touch with certain family members as I should be. All that to say, I haven't lost myself. And that's the biggest thing that I'm proud of. I could take the rejection. I could take having my heart fractured. I could take a lot of all this other stuff that other people probably couldn't. And I'm still moving. I'm still growing. I'm still trying to better myself every day. Guys, this life ain't perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect. You learn something new every day, and you learn something new about yourself every day. I'm going to have my bad days. I'm going to have my days again where I'll doubt myself, but I know damn well within my heart that I am happy with who I am and where I am in my life. And nobody can fucking take that away from me, okay? And this thing about it now that I'm 6 months past this year and a half healing process from this rejection that I went through, I'm fucking proud of who I am, man. And I am never going to allow someone to affect what my pride is or how I see myself or anything like that. And it is what it is, man. I'm healed. I'm free. I got demons off my shoulders. I got demons out of my heart, out of my chest. And spiritually, I haven't been as in tune within my heart than I am right now at this moment. I'm being present, man. That's all I can control. I'm happy, man. I got what I want. I have what I need. And I know that the future is going to look good. There's a lot of things to accomplish. There's a lot of things I want to do. There's a lot of things I want to accomplish. And going back to the rejection thing, and I was thinking about it the other day, man. Like, I think a lot during this time period, I realized I was really, like, colorblind to myself, where I was, like, tied down to not letting anybody in, not allowing myself to be vulnerable with people, not letting people in. It didn't matter who it was. Not letting one bad rejection change your view on life and relationships. There's a lot of fish in the sea, as they say, right? And I've been on dates and stuff like that since this whole thing went down, but it hasn't discouraged me. But it's also something that's not on my priority list right now. It's really like probably at the bottom tier of really things that's on my mind at this present moment. And I know I'm talking and I'm just freestyling here and just going off the top of my head, but that's what I do, man. I speak off the cuff, man. There's no script. I'm not fabricating shit. I'm just speaking from the heart right now. And that I haven't been this in tune with God and within myself my entire life as I am right now. And I know that He's got me. He's got me through this whole process, and that it's going to be okay, man. It's going to be okay, man. I know there's a lot of things that I know within my heart that I feel like I should be at this place, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and I should have this, and I should have that. But realistically, where I am right now, I'm doing much more than some people usually are doing at my age and even older. And I have to remind myself this, and you guys should remind yourself this too. We're all living one day at a time, man. And that's what you have control over. Now, that's not to say to not go and try to better yourself every day or try to just put an effort to do things harder. I know the work I put into this. I know the time I put into this. I don't need to explain that to any of you guys. I know what I do and the work ethic that I have and how I'm wired and what I do. At the same time, man, none of that shit matters if I don't have that same feeling and drive within myself, or how I view myself outside of doing these podcasts or writing these transcripts or playing my guitar or any of that. None of that matters if I don't love myself. I don't know what the future looks like. I can't give you a crystal ball what that's going to be or when that's going to happen. I know what I want out of myself. I know what I want to do. I know I'm ready to start the next chapter of my life and move out of Chicago. I know that. But right now, my main focus is being present within myself and my heart and knowing what's good for me. And I know there's going to be a lot of sacrifices that I'm taking this year and a lot of things I got to take on the chin, so to speak, professionally. But spiritually, emotionally, romantically, whatever, man, I'm just free. I'm at peace, man. I got this shit off my shoulders. And I'm not discouraged, man. I'm just really, really happy. And, you know, there's things in my life that I miss. I miss that interaction a lot with Adam Daly. I do. I miss my brother a lot, man. I miss my sister. I miss her a lot. Outside of that, I'm good. I'm good. I know who's in my life. I know who cares. I know who doesn't. I know who's about me, and I know who's not. And I got to thank God for being there and being number one in my life. And I'm thankful for him for having me go through this pain, going through this healing process, and coming out the other side. So, just to update you guys, 6 months past healing, man, I'm happy with myself, and nobody else can take that away from me. So with that being said, we're going to take our first break here. When we come back, you'll hear the Thoughts of Dericho and This Week in WWE right here on the Hoots Podcast. Yes, sir.
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, one and all, to the segment that's officially on the road to WrestleMania with all of you. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. Gonna take my time this week to just give a few thoughts about Elimination Chamber, and we'll get into, once we get into more of a routine of Raw and SmackDown, we'll get into that. I just want to talk about Elimination Chamber, just a short, sweet Thoughts of Dericho this week. And then we'll, as the storylines progress into WrestleMania, we'll get into that. So, let's start with the Women's Championship match. By the way, I should mention that this is probably one of the best pay-per-views WWE's put on in a long time. This, from top to bottom, every match on this card had purpose. Every match on this card was terrific. And I enjoyed every bit of it. So let's get into it. Starts with the Women's Chamber match. Asuka gets the victory after outlasting everybody there. I thought that this was great. At first I picked Liv Morgan to win, but Asuka's now the right choice. That's going to be a great match with her and Bianca Belair. And I know everyone's going to be like, "Oh my God, you've got two faces going against each other." For a special kind of WrestleMania match, it's okay. It's not like AEW where they have random faces and random heels face each other just at random moments because they have inconsistent booking. This is perhaps the two top talents on Raw going at it. So you don't need to have a face and a heel. You can just have a slow build up to WrestleMania. So this is going to be terrific. Great match by the ladies to open it up. Really looking forward to seeing what the company's going to do. They'll probably get into the women's battle. A lot of these women will be in the women's battle royal at WrestleMania, and that's fine. But this is going to be a great match with Asuka and Bianca Belair. I can't wait. Bobby Lashley defeats Brock Lesnar by disqualification after Lesnar uses a low blow when he was in the Hurt Lock. And a lot of people, of course, are complaining, oh my God, this is a terrible finish. By the way, every time I hear people complaining, I go back to my favorite MVP quote, which is that nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans. And everyone's upset about this decision, but ladies and gentlemen, long-term storytelling. They're building something here. We're probably going to get another match between them at WrestleMania. Fine. There's nothing else for them to do. If you want to throw Gunther into the mix, fine. Because I know a lot of people have been saying Brock versus Gunther. Fine. You know, that could be a... Can you imagine that triple threat match? Gunther versus Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley? That would be awesome. So I don't know what they're going to do with this, but if I'm okay with another Lashley-Lesnar match, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. The finish actually makes sense. Because Lesnar thought he was in trouble, and so he bailed, because that's what a heel does. Hey. All right. Edge and Beth Phoenix defeat Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. This was a great match, too. I was surprised that this was the outcome, because I thought this could derail. It's not going to derail, quote-unquote, but it does slow down Rhea Ripley's momentum. So, I mean, again, this isn't the route I would have gone, but WWE, they can tell great stories and can get us rocking and rolling leading into WrestleMania. So, I think this is going to be, you can set up another match with Finn Balor and Edge at WrestleMania. And because, Finn Balor attacked Edge to close the show with Raw this past week. So clearly they're not done. And then Rhea Ripley, I guess she can, if she just waits a couple weeks and then switches gears and goes after Charlotte, it'll be fine. Again, this isn't the booking decision that I would have made, but it will be fine because WWE knows how to tell a good story. Austin Theory retained the U.S. title. By the way, Logan Paul makes his return. He does a better buckshot lariat than Hangman Adam Page, and it's not close. Like, he gets more height. He has more fluid movement. Logan Paul was born to be a WWE superstar. He really was. He was terrific in this. He's a better WWE superstar than some of the WWE superstars. Hell, he's certainly a better wrestler than most of the AEW roster. So, this was great. Montez Ford is a superstar, in no question. Johnny Gargano looked good. Bronson Reed looked good. Everyone in this match looked great. And I think we're going to get set up with Austin Theory versus John Cena at Mania. Fine. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins is going to be terrific. So this was a great match all the way around. I loved this. Congratulations to everyone involved. No doubt they're getting ready to push Montez Ford after WrestleMania, and I hope they do because he's ready. And I think Angelo Dawkins is ready too. He's gotten better and better and better, so that's great. And then we get to the main event. What else can you say? Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns played this absolutely perfectly. Reigns slow played everything, let the crowd do their thing and be excited to see their hometown hero. Sami Zayn comes in and, it's just a huge ovation. You could see the emotion on his face. They took their time with it. They built it. I will say the finish got a little... you knew a ref bump was coming. From the moment they started the match, I was like, okay, ref bump is coming. And then second ref bump was coming, and I'm like, okay. They were starting to draw this out just a little bit. And they can't keep going to the ref bump well in a Reigns match over and over and over again. I get that. So I really hope they don't do that with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. So that would be my only complaint about this, was that I think they went to the ref bump well one too many times, and the finish just started to get a little bit drawn out. But overall, Roman Reigns proves every time he's out there why he has been the champion for 900 days, why he is the best wrestler of this generation. It's not close. He taunted Sami Zayn's family in front of them and made incredible points about, I tried to do this for you. So, it was awesome. It was incredible. And Sami Zayn played his role very well, went over and kissed his wife during the match. Everything about this, except, again, just the slow finish, I think that they took a little too much time with. But other than that, everything about this was perfect. It was great. I loved every bit about this. Sami Zayn played his role so well. Roman Reigns is the best wrestler of our generation. It's not close. Kevin Owens comes back, and they're going to slow play the build to Zayn and Owens against the Usos at Mania. This is going to be awesome. This pay-per-view was awesome. everything that WWE is doing right now is firing on all cylinders. So congratulations to everyone involved. And I can't wait for this road to WrestleMania. Those are my thoughts this week for the Thoughts of Dericho. My final thought this week is, again, get excited, folks. This is going to be a great WrestleMania season, and I am all about it.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.
The one word that people were using that was really like the trigger word for me was unsatisfied. I was unsatisfied with that finish. You know what? I got a message for everybody who was unsatisfied with that. You know what it is? Go f*** yourself. That's my message to people that feel that they were unsatisfied.
Wait a minute. Dave, I was very unsatisfied by the match.
Go f*** yourself. I was unsatisfied. What does that mean? I was unsatisfied. Well, you know what? Sometimes you're going to be disappointed. Sometimes in life, you know what? I actually have to sit down some of these wrestling fans like I would sit down a child. Like sometimes things aren't going to go your way. You know what? You're special to me, but you're not special to everybody else. Okay? You got to prove yourself in this world. And sometimes you're going to be disappointed. So for everybody who felt that they were unsatisfied with that finish, well, guess what? That's called emotion. That's an emotion. And now maybe you're paying for a ticket to go see Brock and Bobby Lashley to see if maybe the next time you'll be satisfied with the finish. Oh, my God. Bully, I don't mean to sound like the old man, but my God, I want to take some of these people and just hit them with truth over the head. You don't get it. It's not about you and your satisfaction. It's about the big picture. And my God, I thought they told a great story. You know what? I'll go a step further. I was satisfied with the finish of that match. How about that? How about that, asshole? I was satisfied with that finish on Saturday.
And Dave, just in case, the people who were unsatisfied forgot, what is your message to them?
Go f*** yourself.
Oh, boy. Shout out to the boys that busted open for that clip there. Clip from their Monday edition of the show from SiriusXM Fight Nation. Go check out Busted Open every single week. Yeah, but I can't say I disagree with Dave LaGreca, man. I feel like he was speaking for me in that essence. Not only just there, he was talking more about the end result, the Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley match from Elimination Chamber, and a lot of people, I can't believe that's the finish. What Dave expressed there is really how I feel a lot of times when I see a lot of the dumb narratives and complaints I see when it comes to the shows and stuff like that. Look, we're all in the game of entertainment. If you're not entertained by the show and it's not catching your attention, it's not appealing to you, I get that, but to come on Twitter every week and fucking try to pinpoint and break down the show with magnifying glasses and a expector pad next to you and trying to jot this down like you're a wrestling inspector is just odd to me. And this finish sucked. I was not satisfied with the decision of the match. I was not satisfied with the match order of the pay-per-view. I was not satisfied with the build for this and the build for that. Like, shut up. We got the greatest form of entertainment, and we all take it for granted for the stupidest reasons on God's green earth. And I can really blame the Meltzerification for how idiotic this fan base is. Collectively, regardless of promotion, us as the wrestling community, content creators, etc., we are doing the world a disservice by how paranoid and just utterly dumb ways we view the industry as a whole and how we consume the product every week. It's one thing to be excited and fancy book and say, hey, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen this with that? But when we get into these freaking mental gymnastic games of, oh, this was booked wrong. Oh, the match order was this. How is that the finish? Why isn't Sammy main eventing WrestleMania? No. Like, come on, man. I don't get it. I really don't. What I do get, though, was that we had a barn burner of a pay-per-view this past Saturday night in Montreal. That was the Elimination Chamber. Both chamber matches delivered on their own accord. Asuka won the women's Elimination Chamber match. A couple of things from that match I wanted to mention. I thought it was a very good performance for Nikki Cross. I thought she did very good in that match. That sunset flip bomb off the chamber pod that Liv Morgan did was really good. I needed a name for that new double armbar thing that Asuka is doing. I don't know what the hell that's called. I'm not an MMA person or whatever. So if anybody has a gimmick name or something like that, so I can call that the next time I do transcribe an Asuka match. It's crazy. I have not transcribed Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or Dynamite in a month. I didn't even cover the Chamber pay-per-view. I made a big stance ever since I found out that I'm getting furloughed that I'm not going to be covering shows anymore, that I'm not being compensated for. It's just ridiculous. It's a waste of my time. Anyways, this pay-per-view is not wasting my time. I had a good time watching it. And, yeah, I'm happy for Asuka. Her and Bianca Belair is going to be a tremendous title match for the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. I think that's going to be really cool. Think about it. If you think about two marquee women's title matches for WrestleMania, I don't think you could go wrong with Asuka and Bianca and Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. You have two really strong, technically sound wrestling title matches for the women's division, which we haven't had that in a pretty long while, for being honest. And here's the deal. Unlike Sasha Banks, who quits and runs away whenever she doesn't get what she wants, you have somebody like Bianca Belair who just puts the work in and lets her work speak for herself. Guess what? Now it's going to be her third consecutive year where she's having one of the biggest marquee women's matches on WrestleMania. Funny how that works, right? Anyways, let's move on. Now we go to Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. How is it a shitty finish? If we talk about the lack of importance for finishing moves and the lack of importance of making big guys means something, do we just forget about that and like, oh, it was a cheap finish. They didn't want to have a decisive winner, so they went with the low blow. No. They're putting over the Hurt Lock. They're putting over Bobby Lashley as a threat to Brock Lesnar, to the fact that he had to resort to a low blow to get out of the situation. Now, that's out of Bobby's control that they're in Montreal and they're a bunch of heathens and scoundrels that they want Brock Lesnar to just demolish the dude and send him to the shadow realm. But at the same time, like... Don't come in here and tell me, oh, finishes don't mean anything anymore. Submission moves don't mean anything. Oh, big guys don't matter anymore. And then, bitch, when they're putting over the move, like, it's old school there. You know, it's funny to think about the moves that used to end matches back in the 80s or 70s and stuff I would watch here and there, where we have... Well, I always say this, always pops with you. Like, I seen Dick Slater and some of these guys from Memphis win matches with flying double axe handles and a regular short arm clothesline. How that would end matches compared to today, where you have a sequence like we saw last night with Pockets and Wheeler Useless, where you have in 90 seconds, listen to me, a DDT onto the floor. There was a backdrop before that on the apron. Roll back to the ring, taking a pile driver, all in 90 seconds for a false finish. Think about that. you got the reaction over a full Nelson and showing the desperation that Brock Lesnar had to resort to that in order to escape the move. I popped for the F5 though, even though I felt bad for Chicago's own Champagne. You didn't deserve that, but I agree with Dave, man. That whole I was not satisfied. Oh, this is an unsatisfying finish. I bet the same dudes that type that out every single week, I bet that's how their partners feel after they're done having sex with them that night too. So let's let's not get on a soapbox of satisfying finishes and stuff like that, because that can get into treacherous waters. One of my favorite matches from the show, and I knew it was going to kill it when it was announced. I knew it was going to be great. Was the Edge and Beth Phoenix tag match with Judgment Day. I can't say enough good things about Edge. He is one of the greatest of all time. I thought Beth killed it in this match. I know a lot of people were popping and very excited for seeing the Shatter Machine being the finish of the match, and I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a very good match. Fan and Rhea did their job. Dominic got a lot of heat. That mixed tag match was very, very good. And, you know, that's another thing where they let the crowd be the character of the show, and their energy really brought it up a lot for a lot of the matches on the show. I really dig that U.S. Men's Chamber match. If it wasn't for Roman and Sammy and everything that went to that story, obviously that'd probably be my biggest takeaway from the pay-per-view was this Men's Chamber match, because it was that good. All 6 guys killed it. The right person won. I'm excited for Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. That's going to be a barn burner. I'm really looking forward to that match. And then Roman and Sammy. It was a reality check for a lot of people, man. And I know a lot of people are salty about it, but they emphasized that in the commentary during the match. I try to be fair here. I've been saying that I haven't been a fan of what I've been hearing from Corey Graves recently. I just haven't been enjoying his work recently. I like his podcast. I think he's a cool dude. I don't have any personal issues with the guy. But as far as his commentary, color commentary recently, especially on Raw, it's just been very, very, very hit and miss. But I thought he and Cole did a tremendous job calling this match this past Saturday night. And I think Bully Ray did a great job of mentioning this too. When Busted Open was recapping the show on Monday, talking about the importance of old school wrestling, where you're not jamming 20 different 20 different sequences and all this shit into a 10-pound bag. You're letting things breathe. You're letting the story play itself in front of the audience, and not having to do, trying to replicate Okada Omega or some match from Ring of Honor or something like that. You're letting things breathe. You're having a match. You're having a championship fight. It was an awesome match, and there wasn't a lot that was done into it, but everything in every sequence that went down in that match mattered. It had a rhyme or reason to it, and it wasn't just doing sequences for the sake of doing sequences or showcasing our athleticism. The structure of the match, the layout of it, that was awesome. Not we have a counter arm drag into a Frankenstein, into a reverse hurricane, into both men pop back onto their feet. They do a double lariat exchange into forearms. Then we do an Irish whip reversal into a drop down leapfrog, into a somersault plancha to the outside, and it's laid out like a regular indie spot fest sequence right there. But you get the point, right? Roman Reigns is that dude. And this goes out to Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, because nobody else has the balls to say it, but that's why you listen to the Hoots podcast. Dave and Brian, I want to know, when are you going to admit that Roman Reigns is that dude, and has always been that dude since day one? I'll wait your response, because all in this road to WrestleMania and everything that's going on with Cody and everything, I don't see the proper acknowledgement and just due that Roman Reigns deserves for these two clowns that have gone out of their way over the last 6 to 7 years to try to sabotage this guy's career and his credibility as a performer in the ring, all in the fact of they hate Vince McMahon and WWE. And I get it, there's still a lot of you who watch WWE through those glasses as if Vince is still on creative and having the pencil and everything. I get it. A lot of you are scarred. A lot of you hate WWE, and more power to you. And a lot of people you still watch WWE, even though you claim to hate it, which is very odd at the same time. Anyways, to sit here in 2023, almost 8 years to the time Roman Reigns main evented his first WrestleMania at WrestleMania 31, so where we are here at WrestleMania 39, Roman Reigns is the biggest star in professional wrestling today. He is the best wrestler in the world. Where's the proper recognition? If the name of the game of this industry is all the moves you do and all the sequences, I think we're watching two different things. Pro wrestling is not a gymnastic routine. Pro wrestling is not a spot fest. Pro wrestling is not a mud show. When you talk about putting asses in seats and having people care about what you're doing every match, every promo, every feud, every year, regardless of the show you pop on, that is what this business is about, and about making money. And to just, I feel in a lot of ways they're very passive aggressive towards Roman Reigns. They won't admit that they're wrong about his potential and how good he is in the ring and what he brings to the industry. There's always has to be asterisks attached to it, because we can't just admit we're wrong. Oh, we didn't see what Vince saw, because Vince is the most evil thing to happen in professional wrestling, right? They can't admit that they're wrong about Roman Reigns. The same people that are saying Roman sucks and booing him at Rumbles, and now all these people are now kissing his ass. They won't admit that they were wrong about the guy. They flag onto it because they want to be part of the whole tribal chief thing. Now they want to acknowledge their tribal chief. And this other thing. Oh, yeah, they're going to start booing Cody. WWE's got to be careful. Or the new one today, as I saw as I'm recording this, WWE was very concerned over how the fans were going to react to the Cody Rhodes segment following the finish of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Oh, the officials backstage were concerned to the point where they had Paul Heyman immediately cut off Cody Rhodes in a way to prevent Sami Zayn chants. Look, man, I respect Sami Zayn and everything, but what we saw on Saturday night is not going to be top. He was not going to beat Roman Reigns there. He was not going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. A triple threat match would have been stupid, because we would have got the same result that we got at WrestleMania 37 with Roman stacking Cody and Sami on top of each other, just like he did Bryan Danielson and Edge at WrestleMania 37. Sami Zayn was never going to beat Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship. I don't care how much pots the guys get. He is not a world champion. He's not the guy to beat Roman Reigns in this journey. And all of this to piggyback, blame, and deflect, and disdain and booze towards Cody Rhodes, because Sami Zayn should be the one in the main event, not Cody Rhodes. Oh, I'm really concerned the fans are going to turn on him. Guys, before Cody got injured at Hell in a Cell, they were still having these same conversations. Dave Meltzer is so dead set on the fact that the WWE audience was going to boo him because he comes from AEW, and if Cody gets booed, right, that proves Tony Khan and AEW right that Cody was not the right person to be an executive vice president in that company. Why do you think they're holding on to that narrative? Why is it every week that they're continuing to spew these things? Even though every time Cody comes out to these arenas in Ottawa, in Philly, or he was at the Raw 30, my bad, Brooklyn, in Orlando, that face-to-face conversation with Paul Heyman, or the week after that with Cody and Sammy in the ring at the same time, they're still chanting Cody. Where's the boos? Where's this turn from the audience that people will continue to project out as if we're going to have a rehash of WrestleMania 30? Where's the Batista element that all these people are convinced that we're just going to have this rehash of WrestleMania 30? Where are these boos coming from? Tell me. You can't just admit the fact that the WWE audience actually likes this guy. He is over. Help a brother out. Let me know. Because you're just in complete denial to say that the audience is going to turn on Cody. He's not over. He should not be the one to go after Roman Reigns. Yet every time he comes out, even before he got injured, the crowds were cheering for him. Him selling out merchandise numbers. Him bringing out more people to house shows before he got injured. Selling out the Allstate Arena for him and Seth Rollins to hell to sell pay-per-view. You can't admit that you're wrong. So you continue to perpetuate this narrative that the crowd's going to turn on Cody for Sami Zayn when he was never going to win the title in the first place, and when this whole story has been based around him and Jey Uso and not the championship. Either you're not watching the show or you're unwilling to acknowledge the fact that you're wrong about Cody Rhodes and the reception he's got from this audience in WWE. Just admit that you're wrong, Meltzer. It's not that hard. You get a bunch of shit wrong on the daily basis. Your website and your content and your network is spewed with people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Spew a bunch of bullshit and rumor and innuendo every single week and act like it's the goddamn gospel, and you guys never retract or say we're sorry for the bunch of bullshit that we have to send through your content every week, and we have to be passing along this content every week on Twitter as if you guys are the goddamn judge, jury, and verdict, whatever the fuck. You get my point. Judge, jury, executioner on all things professional wrestling, when we all know this is a bunch of bullshit. You're doing a disservice to the industry, and you're doing yourself a disservice to your legacy, as if you had one anyway. To say that the crowd is going to boo Cody, show me the evidence outside of Twitter marks. Anyways. Like the wrestling observer has nothing to do but to continue to pop up new things just to stir the pot. You don't think the dirt sheets have power on changing fans' opinions on performers? Look at Roman Reigns back in 2015. And my point is rested as I bring this back full circle. I promised I was going to mention the No Surrender pay-per-view for Impact that's airing tomorrow from Las Vegas. I'm going to do that right now before we get to our main event. We have two matches on the pre-show. It's Deonna Purrazzo against Giselle Shaw. Jonathan Gresham will take on Mike Bailey. Here's the matches on the show as well. A combat match for the Impact Digital Media Championship with Joe Henry taking on Moose. We have Frankie Kazarian taking on Big Con from the Design. We have the Death Dolls taking on the Hex for the Impact Knockouts World Tag Team titles. We got Morrissey, Machine Guns, and Kushida taking on the Bullet Club members Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Kenta. We have a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for the Impact World Championship is Brian Myers, Heath, PCO, and Steve Macklin. That's going to be a dope match. I got Steve Macklin winning that one. We got Mickie James putting her Impact Knockouts World Championship on the line against Masha Slamovich. Shout out to Mickie James and her waterfall. And the main event, Josh Alexander against Rich Swann for the Impact World Championship. So that should be a very fun pay-per-view. Tomorrow night I'll be covering it on Fight TV. Go check it out. It should be a pretty good show. On that note, that is a wrap for this week in WWE, which could only mean one thing. It's time for the main event. It's scheduled for 1-4 with an unlimited time limit. And we're going to start this bad boy off with Brother Carter with What the Hell is Wrong with AEW in a 3, 2, 1.
Beat your meat. 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 Beat your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living in my time is now. My time is right. God damn now.
Man, what intensity.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
What the hell is wrong with AEW? You know, it seems like I say this every single week, but the company just continues to get worse and worse. And I think, okay, well, you know, maybe they're gonna, you know, they'll finally never manage to outdo themselves when it comes to terrible, terrible television. And I'm proven wrong pretty much every single week. This was, without a doubt, one of the worst episodes of Dynamite that this company has ever produced. Not even close. So let's get into it. There was a couple things that I enjoyed. It was a decent match with the Acclaimed versus Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. By the way, that name Big Bill is stupid. And of course, I love the Acclaimed. Their rap was great. The Firm is awful. Stokely Hathaway is awful. But I'm not minding the stuff with the Guns. I think the Guns have potential. I really do. I think that if you can get them away from, well, I mean, get them out of AEW, but that's not going to happen. So AEW is where careers go to die. So, but I mean, we'll talk about that more here in just a little bit. But yeah, I think the stuff with the Guns have potential, and the Acclaimed is great. And MJF is amazing once again. His promo was just terrific. MJF has made Bryan Danielson more relevant than he's ever been since joining AEW. Perhaps one of the best technical wrestlers of all time in Bryan Danielson, and who has done absolutely nothing of relevance since joining AEW. It's taken MJF to make him relevant. So that's both praise on MJF and an indictment on Danielson and AEW. MJF gets such amazing heel heat. It's great. So those were the only bright spots in an otherwise completely bleak and dark television show. So let's get into the shit. And oh, boy, is there a lot of shit. All right. We start with Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy. I'll say the match itself was fine. But why is Claudio Castagnoli randomly starting to be an asshole all of a sudden? This makes absolutely no sense. The Blackpool Combat Club, since William Regal has left, is basically non-existent, and they just randomly try to remember that, oh yeah, the Blackpool Combat Club, that's a thing. The match itself was fine until they started randomly throwing arms at each other and spitting at each other. Then it just became uninteresting to me. But yeah, this is just clear that AEW has no idea what to do with their talent, especially with the grade of talent as Castagnoli, but part of it is Castagnoli's fault for signing with the company after, thinking, oh, it's going to be brighter on that side. Nope, you're being relegated to nothing, pal, and your career is going down the toilet. Speaking of going down the toilet, Chris Jericho. Ricky Starks is being wasted by being used with Chris Jericho. Jericho just sucks more and more every week that I see him. and Ricky Starks just tricked Chris Jericho into a match. Ricky Starks outshined Chris Jericho on the mic, and that's saying something. Again, well, there's going to be a theme of the evening here, and we'll get to it here in just a little bit. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy brawled on the stage. I don't care. And, of course, you can't have a segment without blood in AEW, so, of course, Jungle Boy bladed. We're probably going to get a match between the two at Revolution. Guess what? Don't care. Speaking of not caring and things that suck, Saraya sucks. I'm sorry. But since she joined AEW, she's been worthless. Here's the theme for the evening. There is no ex-WWE talent that has improved since going to AEW. None of them. Saraya needs help to beat a jobber. So let's think about this. Castagnoli's being wasted. Bryan Danielson has done nothing of relevance since joining his feud with MJF. Christian Cage, who was great for a while, I was excited about his stuff, has now, and now to be fair with him, he's been injured. I mean, now that he's back, again, I don't care about him and Jungle Boy. Saraya sucks. Tony Storm sucks. Athena's been wasted to absolutely nothing. I mean, again, there's no ex-WWE talent that's done anything of any relevance since joining AEW. And yet AEW is going to be the company that changes it all. Give me a break. The Revolution Battle Royal was a complete joke. The finish was ridiculous. So much interference from Best Friends and Jarrett and Lethal's team. Danhausen is an insult to the wrestling business. So that was stupid. Okay. Tony Khan's quote-unquote big announcement. The big announcement was actually made by Adam Cole that there's going to be a new show, AEW All Access. So let me get this straight. AEW's ratings are already in the toilet, and the geniuses both at Warner and Tony Khan think that more content is going to solve the problem. Bravo. Yeah, bravo. Genius marketing there. I'm kind of hoping that Warner Brothers is saying, all right, we're going to go all in on AEW for a little while, and then when this doesn't work either, the company's finally going to realize we have enough data to pull the plug on this. So I'm hoping that that's kind of the move behind AEW's new All Access show, but we'll see. And Adam Cole is going to be back in the ring, which is cool. Looking forward to that. I for all of his flaws, and he has many flaws, I like Adam Cole, so looking forward to seeing what he can do back in the ring. And then we get to the main event, which is Jon Moxley versus Evil Uno. So Evil Uno, who we haven't seen wrestle on Dynamite in a couple years now, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a long time, is in the main event. He looks horrible. He's slow. He's completely overweight. He looks horrible. And obviously you can't have a Moxley match without blood. This whole thing was an embarrassment to the wrestling business. I wrote down the referee needs to stop this because it looks like Evil Uno bladed in a way that missed. Like blood was gushing down his face inside of his mask. That can't possibly... That's like dangerous stuff, man. Like that's... Golly. And honestly, Moxley needs to recognize that, oh boy, okay, this is serious. Like, we need to stop this. And then, of course, Moxley blades because he's a freaking clown, too. This show has no continuity. It's bad wrestling. No storylines that I care about except for MJF. There are a few performers that I care about on this roster. MJF, Ricky Starks, The Acclaimed, and Hook. Oh, by the way, Hook's suspension was randomly unlifted for some stupid reason. No continuity at all, no reason for tuning in, and Tony Khan and his entire crew should be embarrassed by the product they put out. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with AEW? This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
The following is only subject to adult human people and listener discretion is advised. Thank you, Brother Carter, again for submission for this week as we go into what the hell is wrong with AEW, aka what isn't wrong with AEW. There's a lot to discuss. I'm going to end this portion of the segment by talking about the whole Ariel Helwani, Tony Khan thing, because there's a lot to get into that. But again, like I just mentioned, the following is when it comes to this segment, listener discretion is advised. I don't know where to start here, and I'm being completely transparent with you. Can somebody tell me how AEW right now, let's talk about right now, is not worse than Impact on Destination America? I'm being serious. Seriously. Tell me how AEW right now is not worse than Dixie Carter-led Impact in Destination America and Pop TV. Where you can take their numbers, their ratings, the match lineups they offer on Dynamite and Rampage. I know I did the whole bit with the Acclaim and the whole diss track and stuff like that, but there's a lot of truth in what I said right there in that clip. Honestly, for me, this show gets worse as the weeks go by. We are about, 8 days away from Revolution. This pay-per-view has no intrigue for me whatsoever. Honestly, I would rather rewatch December to Dismember than this pay-per-view coming up on March the 5th in San Francisco. This promotion is the drizzling shits right now. Whether it's the excessive bleeding for absolutely no rhyme or reason. We got the blood with the Concerto, with Jungle Boy. He's bleeding. The Jon Moxley Evil Uno stuff, that was just absolutely a waste of time. I watched this show last night, and I'm like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we subjecting ourselves to just pure utter nonsense? And just tell me what makes this show special. What about AEW right now outside of MJF and Acclaim is must-see? Why should I spend my time watching these shows on TBS and TNT every week and expecting to see an alternative product from a guy who still thinks he's in a war with WWE? But as Eric Bischoff said in the beginning of this podcast this week, he's in a war with himself. So we have record low ratings for Dynamite and Rampage. So we're going to double down on that by starting off the show with a 20-minute match featuring Pockets and Wheeler Useless for the AEW All-Mid Championship, for a title nobody gives two shits about. B, two wrestlers who are not main event guys. And 3, why are we still trying to convince ourselves that Wheeler Yuta is a guy? He's not. He is generic as it comes. I did the whole Times New Roman font for Kid Saving, but guess what? Brother Carter, everybody watching and listening to this, I love to grant the brand new Times New Roman font moniker to Wheeler Useless. Get this dude off my TV screen now. From there, we go to Ricky Starks. Hey, guys, remember all about AEW and their marketing campaign? Hey, we're going to make wins and losses matter. We're going to showcase our young talent and not have our veterans stand over them and bring them down. Here's the deal. We have Ricky Starks who beat Chris Jericho in the first Dynamite of 2023. But guess what? We had to make Ricky Starks run through Hoots, run through a JAS gauntlet, and have Ricky Starks stand in the ring like a fucking idiot last night, trying to goad Chris Jericho into a rematch for a match he already won, and it's already, you can tell by his facial expressions, you can tell by the stuff he says in his promo that he's already done of being in this feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society, because just like any feud that involves the Inner Circle, the January 6th Appreciators, you are not going to get over, and you are doing yourself a disservice as a performer. The Web of Jericho We can't escape, man. This was so stupid. And just showcase how much of a BS marketing campaign that was. Oh, we're going to make wins and losses matter. Wins and losses matter. So we have a match, and we got to convince a heel to have a rematch with a babyface who already beat him and wants absolutely nothing to do with him. But we're going to have the rematch because it's Chris Jericho, and we need more Chris Jericho in 2023 with the worst faction on God's green earth, the worst faction since the core, a faction that makes the House of Torture look like the NWO. Anybody with an objective brain and watching that segment last night, tell me how that is good television. Tell me how that's good. Tell me that I'm wrong. We had the Acclaimed beat Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Whoopity-doo. Great to see Saraya on my screen. God, that woman is fucking hot. I'm just going to say it is what it is. We're just keeping it staggered. That girl is fucking hot. Anyways, we got the whole deal with her, the whole AEW Originals against the New Blood, the AEW Originals against the they're calling them freelancers, but let's call it what it is. It's the WWE talent going into against the AEW Originals. It's basically AEW. It's inner conflict because honestly, AEW is a WWE rehab center. That's really what it is at the end of the day, if we're being honest with each other. We had other stuff on the show. The one saving grace from this edition of Dynamite last night, for holding itself without being the single worst edition of Dynamite, I won't go that far, but the saving grace of this episode was MJF and Bryan Danielson's segment. I don't need to break it down because honestly, not even that segment in itself can save this episode. If honestly, what MJF is doing right now, and I'm sure he'll tell you this himself. I don't know if he'll say it on Twitter, but from what I see from Max and how he carries himself, and just being honest and being transparent with all of you, what he's doing right now is in spite of AEW. His work right now is in spite of AEW, and the writing's on the wall as you watch these shows every week. And guess what? Bad ratings. We got a cokehead of an owner, booker, boss, CEO going out of his way to attack real journalists and watch the competition show. Him running his mouth on Twitter to promote Rampage as he does sporadically. And we have Pockets and Useless starting out the show. We had a tag team battle royale, the first of two battle royals, by the way, to crown two different tag teams into a fatal four-way match. Don't you know all the mental gymnastics I had to do just to remind myself that there's a fatal four-way match for the tag team titles at Revolution? Like, why are we doing this to themselves? Anyways, we have that. The excessive blood. Feuds are going nowhere. Commentary that's still ass. The best thing I heard from commentary last night was Taz when he said, thank God, when MJF interrupted Bryan Danielson. And guess what? I felt the same way. So good on you, Taz. You're not on my shit list this week. Let's get the excrement impression out of the way because, my God, this promotion just makes me lose my IQ points as the weeks go by. All right, let's start off with Rampage, shall we? Coming to you live on Rampage on TNT on Friday. We got Willow Nightingale taking on Tony Storm. From there, we had JES and Sammy Guevara taking on Action Andretti. We'll hear from Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. The returning Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer in action. And it's the AEW World Tag Team Trios Champions, the Young Bucks, taking on Aussie Open from the United Empire. Don't forget, AEW Revolution taking place on March 5th from the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. First, we have Jamie Hayter putting her AEW Women's World Championship on the line in a triple threat match with Ruby Soho and Saraya. Next, we have Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks. The Jericho Appreciation Society is banned from ringside. Samoa Joe puts his AEW TNT Championship on the line against Wardlow. There we have the Texas Death match featuring Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. It's the Fatal 4-Way match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It's the Guns against the Acclaim, against the team of Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and the winners of the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale next week on Dynamite. And the main event, it's a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. It's MJF against Bryan Danielson. More matches to be announced on Twitter. Feed Tony Khan. Make sure to get all your tickets right now at AEWTX. Make sure to get all your tickets. Make sure to get all your tickets right now at AEWTIX.com. Once again, that's AEWTIX.com. Oh my God. God, this promotion sucks. Oh man. So all the controversy we got last week of Tony Khan calling out Ariel Helwani. This one took a life of his own to the point where oh man, Ariel Helwani had a response, and I typed this out the other day, and it was very interesting. I'm going to read Ariel's response before I get to what I really want to say about Tony Khan this week. So here's Ariel's response to Tony's dumb tweet from last Friday. Can't believe it's already Thursday. Here we go. Let's go. I just wanted to live in the moment, but then for a second, because I had like an hour, I did look at my phone because I wanted to see if people were watching. I don't know. And I look at this fucking tweet from Tony Khan, and I swear to God, I look at this tweet 3 times because I thought it was fake. Because, you know, anyone can have a blue check mark. This guy doesn't follow me. This guy has never tweeted me. There's no way he actually tweeted this. Number one, proving that he was watching, which is bizarre. Why would you do that? Why do you put the competition over a show that you're watching some random SmackDown in a random moment during the telecast? Number 2, putting down his own guy in the process, your guy, the great Tony Schiavone, Atlanta sports legend, calling me a fraud and then saying that I'm as much of a journalist as Tony Schiavone. Now, I'm trying to think, what is the point he was trying to prove here? He is trying to say that Schiavone isn't a journalist, which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he have a little bit of respect for being a media dude? So this guy is calling me a fraud, and then he's saying that Tony Schiavone is much of a journalist as me. I guess he's trying to imply that he's not a real journalist and I'm not a real journalist. Why insult your guy in the process? You could have said that in a million different ways. I mean, the real thing he should have done is said nothing because, number one, why are you putting over the competition's broadcast? Your show's coming up. Nice little cheeky hashtag there on the tweet as well. But, like, this shit, you talk about a non-goal. I know that Fulham is having a little bit of a better season. They certainly haven't had a great run with the cons involved. But, I mean, this is one of the great non-goals. I just couldn't believe it. I had to check a couple times, like, was this really him? Now, to take a step back, he's still upset clearly over the fact that he gave me one of the all-time worst interviews and ignoring the fact that I have continuously praised the product ever since they launched around 3 years ago. It was just a bad interview. Objectively, a bad interview. Now, what's amazing about that interview is, you know, everyone loves to talk about, oh, he couldn't talk about this. He couldn't talk about that. Legal this, legal that. First of all, like, where's the fucking legal, right? Where's the proof? What legal are you guys talking about? Where's this investigation you guys keep talking about? But I just want to let you all know very clearly that I had asked Tony multiple times to come on the show. I stopped asking because I was told he wasn't sure. I'm Nick Khan's guy. I work for BT, which is ridiculous. That's just a broadcast partner. That would be like saying to somebody like Mark Romani that he shouldn't interview Bellator guys because he works for ESPN and UFC is on ESPN. It's stupid. Anyways, I just stopped asking. They reached out to me several months later and said, do you want Tony on? I said, really? Cool. Never said, don't ask this, don't ask about that. You don't think I was going to ask him about these things? Anybody worth the salt would ask these things. There's a million different ways to answer those questions. But just to let you know, at that time, I had no relationship with anyone in terms of business, anything like that. This was back in early October, so to now pin those questions on me appearing on SmackDown and all of that stuff is a bullshit move because one has nothing to do with the other. He's just mad that he came off looking like a guy who didn't know how to handle these situations and is only comfortable promoting and talking on and on about the product when it's really not what the public wants to hear. And now he's trying to say, look, this is why he asked me these questions when it's really just all really silly bullshit, man. Why do you care? Why do you really care? I said it was a bad interview. I praised your product. Why are you so quick to run to your phone and tweet this in my moment? That's when I realized old Ariel would have let this tweet something. Hold up. Then I realized old Ariel would have let the tweet and a guy like this bother him. I was actually like invigorated by it. I thought it was hilarious. I was debating like, do I tweet something back now? Let me just chew on this for a while. Let me get this second hit out of the way, and then I'll deal with this. But the amazing thing was how the whole thing spread backstage. Everybody was talking about it. Hey, did he see this? Did he see the tweet? I'm like, I'm the new guy. I've only been here for 4 hours. Like, I barely know a lot of these people. It was amazing. Was that really him? What a mark. Yeah, I guess it was him. He doesn't follow me, but I still kind of feel bad for Tony Schiavone because he was insulted in the process. Bizarre. This fucking guy doesn't know what journalism is. He's no different than Dana. What I thought about tweeting back to him was, Dana's not going to tag you, man. He was trying to curry favor with his idol, Dana White. I thought that would be too much of a deep cut for the wrestling audience, but he's just trying to do that thing. It hasn't worked for Dana, and it ain't going to work for Tony Khan. I can assure you of that. I wasn't sure if maybe he couldn't hear what I was saying on SmackDown. Maybe the connection was bad on his TV. It was snowing in Montreal. I'm not sure if it was snowing in Jacksonville. All right. All right. And this is the last part of the thing here. This is not a work. Tony wants to shoot. He's looking for a foil. He's trying to pick a fight with the biggest name in combat sports and wrestling media. He has tried to pick the fight with me. So I'll say this to Tony. I'm sorry about your Jaguars. They shat the bed against the Chiefs. I'm sorry that Fulham is a mid-tier club. I'm sorry that it seems that like a lot of people say things about you. I wasn't one of those guys. In fact, I have praised you and your product multiple times. I went to Dynamite in Queens. I don't know what you're so upset about. You're upset because I asked you a few questions and you didn't answer them correctly? I don't know. Like I said time and time again, if you come at the king, you best not miss. And once again, he missed just like all of them. Let me tell you all something. I've had to deal with the likes of Dana White. I mean, if you think I'm afraid of, big bad Tony K, I'm not. I never met the guy. I don't know what his thing is. I think he's trying to be tough like Dana White and all this stuff. But thank you for the tweet, man. Honestly, thank you. It was great. I think it helped me out. And thank you to everyone who's been tweeting me up a storm about me and all is set, ruining your weekend. I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic. That's a lot to read there. Covered a lot of ground there. Whether you're on the side of Ariel Helwani or not, it's not the issue at hand here. What the issue is here is the fact that you have... fuck it, this is Hoots Podcast. Why am I even doubting... I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to say it. The bigger issue ahead here is that we got a dirt sheet hooker parading himself as a CEO and owner of a wrestling promotion who's basically running a dirt sheet vanity project as nothing but a clout chasing hoe. Tony Khan is a dirt sheet hooker. And that, my friends, is what the hell's wrong with AEW. Tony, you need to put the pencil down. You need to take a good, deep look in the mirror and realize you are what's wrong with your own product. The shit sucks. It's not getting better. You need a reality check, man. Stop letting Daddy Meltzer and Uncle Alvarez write your shows for you and get a fucking clue, my man. If you need to take time out of your day to go after Ariel Helwani to make yourself feel better, that tells you everything you need to know. You are a clout-chasing hoe. Wake the fuck up. And that, my friends, is what the hell is wrong with AEW. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for another stellar edition of the Hoots Podcast. Don't forget, next week we'll be celebrating episode 350. With that being said, you can follow me on Twitter if you like at the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to support Brother Carter and all his ventures at DerrickStoughton.com. Make sure to leave us a 4 or 5 star review rating on Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and all of our other channels if you're listening to the audio versions of the show. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love you guys. This has been episode 349 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll talk to y'all next week. Yes, sir.